Thank you, ma'am. As far as berms being temporary, which we all know that, they are designed to be, to withstand for a 5-year storm surge. That's it. And so, they're designed to fail, if you will. That's the way that's the concept. Okay, Vicky it was, I believe. And we're coming up on 20 minutes before the 2-hour mark, just for what it's worth. Go ahead, Vicky.
Okay, most of the questions have been answered, but my question is, if you put the berm in from a business standpoint, you're going to lose your property taxes, the real estate people probably won't be able to rent the house, the businesses are going to suffer, so sales tax is going to go down. Just pretending that this berm is going to cost 5 to 10 million, you're talking 750,000 to 1.5 million just for the 15%, not counting the road. So just let's throw some figures out. Let's say you're talking even 1.5 million. My question is, where are you going to get the money?
Good question.
I know. Answer?
That's another issue we'll have to deal with.
Because
getting the estimated cost that we talked about earlier, and then obviously looking at where we're going to get that money from.
for instance, as a business owner on the island, my license has gone from $50 to $700. My commercial property taxes are $6,000 a year, and the insurance is out the roof. Most of the businesses are having trouble now. You really need to consider that issue. Thanks.
Thank you, Vicky. The gentleman in the back with the roll of paper. Yes, sir. Go ahead. All right. As long as it's not a subpoena.
My name is Jim Frizzell. My wife and I own a property at 101 Seneca. I am an engineer from Indiana. Came down here tonight prepared to talk about alternatives. I don't think this is quite the forum for that. I'm going to share one bit of wisdom with you. I've spent my life dealing with the federal government, always representing towns and municipalities. The dollar that you get from the federal government is never a true dollar. There's more expertise and knowledge on this island than there ever is in FEMA that can deal with this problem. There are alternatives. Open it up to the people here and solve the issue. It's financially better, it's more expedient, and there are no strings attached. We don't have to look to the federal government to save us.
Appreciate you coming. Great. Yeah.
If I might, Monday night is agenda night.
Yep.
And if he's still in town, do come by. We'll look at what you have.
Yeah,
Yes,
you.
yes.
How long you gonna be here?
Well, you know what? I'm a geotube guy.
Oh. Like I say, that's why. I guess that's why this came up earlier. The memo I got was about the permitting and stuff. But
Well, I do have a question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
go ahead. That's fine.
I do have a question about the permitting. If we're on private property, what permit do we need to put a tube in front of our property?
Apparently, according to the memo I got, it's ADEM and Fish and Wildlife. And I understand that even if it's on private property. Just a real quick story, hang with me here. Real quick story, several years ago, somebody on the West End decided to build a retaining wall around the footprint of their house. Somebody caught wind of it or whatever the case might be, and they had to pull it back out because of one of the agencies said you can't have that. And I mean, so yeah, it's a head scratcher kind of a thing, but we just have to understand that these agencies are somewhat far-reaching, even into your own yards, and so those are problems. I wouldn't call them showstoppers, but they're certainly hurdles.
Talking to them tomorrow, we'll find out, let you know.
And I'd love to know. Yes, sir. Good. Yes, sir.
My name is Sam Stevens. I live on Strand Court. I've been pondering this for a while. We want to protect the infrastructure, the road, sewer lines, water lines, power lines. What are those infrastructure things serve? I want to know what the infrastructure serves that we're so worried about protecting. Is it not our homes? I mean, we're going to build a berm, levee, or a dam, as the gentleman said, down the side of the road to protect a road and a sewer line to what? I mean, everybody on the south side is part of that infrastructure, are we not? We have a road there, we have sewer lines there, and they want to cut that off. They want to say, sorry, it washed away, it's on your dime. Another question, this road we keep talking about on the other side of the berm, I think we spent about a year or so driving down a gravel road called Bienville Boulevard. And I remember it well, how it was underwater, how I had to float through it to get to my house, but I did it. And I got tired of hearing about FEMA coming to help us when they didn't. And I got tired of hearing about how FEMA put people up to sit on their butt in hotels in Mississippi and bring them food. But they couldn't put sand out there to protect what we were paying the taxes for to help them. So really, I wonder what FEMA really gives a damn about us down there. That road you're talking about building on the other side, is it gonna be like Bienville Boulevard was? When I come down here to go to my house, I've gotta wade through water. Is that road gonna be wide enough and adequate enough to serve the emergency vehicles that a code that this city has adopted requires that road to meet a standard in width and a surface for a fire truck to get down there? Or are they just gonna sit on the other side of Bienville Boulevard and tiptoe over that berm to watch a house burn to the ground? And I guess, last but not least, I hadn't heard anybody say, is FEMA gonna dump on us with flood insurance? Sorry, you're on the dump side. We're not gonna cover your houses anymore. You're on that side that's just tough crap. Is AIUA gonna say, okay, it blew away, but y'all did something down there to not protect that area? We're just not gonna insure you anymore. You just got some gas rigs stuck up out there in the middle of sand that you can live in every once in a while, maybe. I think there's a lot of issues here with FEMA. I haven't seen FEMA do a whole heck of a lot for taking care of this barrier island that they're letting wash away when they're gonna pump one up over there that no one lives on, all to protect a bunch of casinos. Maybe that's what we need down here, some gambling casinos and some big bucks that'll get Bonner off his butt up there to do something to help protect this barrier island. Thank you.
All right, let me do it this way. Raise your hand if you yet have a question to ask or comment to make. How many of you yet want to speak? Hey. Okay. Stan, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did.
All right, I'll give you.
I want to be last.
You want to be last? All right. Okay. Did you, okay. Nobody else? Everybody else is okay? All right. What I'm gonna do, Mr. Jim, is it you or who?
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
Would you better get up to the mic, Jim? Those of you who are leaving, we thank you for being here. We thank all of you for being here, and we'll deal with this. Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Robertson, I'm at 102 Ryan Court on the south side. I just had the one question to ask you. Talking about this, talking about we need a berm to protect the infrastructure.
Jim,
Okay.
turn that mic up a little bit or something.
Hello?
There we go.
Okay. I'm Jim Robertson at 102 Ryan Court on the south side there. We've been talking about we need a berm to protect the infrastructure on BM Boulevard. Have you had any studies made this berm will do the job?
No.
Maybe you ought to.
Okay. Well, I think I'll just take a shot at that, Jim. I think that it was pretty well established here tonight that we all understand and agree that if the right storm came through, that berm would not stay there. Okay. It's more or less on paper, if you will. It's like I mentioned earlier. If we put it there, we would have been looked at as that we did our job, and therefore, whether it protects the infrastructure or not, I won't say it's irrelevant, but it kind of gets into that part of it. If you get my drift.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, and that's the state fed talking. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, you go there. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, Gary Graff. A question for the council. We've been down here, my wife and I, we bought just prior to Katrina. And this beach renourishment problem has been an ongoing thing that I'm aware of, from what I can understand, years and years and years. Instead of waiting for the federal government
the Go Mesa, which ties back into the offshore oil and gas industries. We've been having to fight tooth and nail for that, which we shouldn't have to do. So there are some possibilities out there, yes. And
I mean, you know, $28 million to ExxonMobil, that's a
yeah,
drop in the bucket.
I know. When they're rating up $45 billion
A quarter.
I get you.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
I get you.
So we need to start thinking about things like
Yeah.
this.
Well, and I'm not saying that we haven't been, but like I said earlier, we are in a much better position, I feel, for this community to make something good happen than we've been in quite a long time. Now, is that to tell you, don't leave here saying, well, Jeff said everything's going to be okay. That's not the case. But I do know that we've spent a lot of resources, the town has. We've hired a number of different people, lobbyists, consultants, to work with us, and there has been much progress. But you know, when we'll get to the end of that line, I don't know. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then Mr. Graves.
I think a lot of people have asked this question, but I don't know that it's been answered. You said that the vote will take place before the 28th. You don't know a date. Will we, as the owners of properties on Dauphin Island, know when this vote will take place, and will that be in a public forum?
Oh yeah, it has to be. It will be a public forum. Most likely it will be a regular council meeting unless we have to have a special meeting or choose to have a special meeting. As Steve mentioned earlier, Councilmember Denmark, our next meeting is next Tuesday. The next council meeting, well, Monday is the agenda meeting. We don't take action there. Tuesday night is the council meeting. Potential action could be taken. Whether or not it's even going to be on the agenda, I can't tell you at that point. We'll have to decide that. But it will be in a public forum.
But
yes.
there'll be no notice to anybody that that's coming up.
Well,
It won't be on like the town website.
oh
or
yeah,
anything
yeah. I
that
mean,
they vote is coming
we
up.
can do that. I mean, we'll try to do the best we can at it. Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're going to go in the door and turn out the lights and make this vote.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
but I mean, we'll try to let everybody know as best we can. Okay, and yes, ma'am, you.
I have a vacation property on the south side, right across from y'all's property, the city property.
Okay, Sam Houston area.
Same Houston, yes.
All right. Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll try. I'm not great with this.
Just yank it off of there and.
One thing I wanted to say, we all are here because we love this island. We adore this place. I have forever and ever. It's a barrier island. Barrier Island's sand shifts, and it's just Mother Nature and what happens. And I do know that there have been a lot of beach nourishments, say Panama City and Gulf Shores, who've been successful. And it takes the right engineer to do one correctly. And it's not just putting sand piles along the beach. It involves lots of measurements. It involves slopes down to the water, into the water, under the water. It's a very, it's probably not complicated for them. It looks complicated to me, but I'm not sure that whoever was engineering or looking over this, and I know it wasn't y'all, I don't think they treated us very fair by just dumping sand, because that's the worst thing to do. You have to have particles that are larger than the beach that you're putting it on. There are just so many things that go into it. It's just not as simple. And I was here for both of them that were built. And, you know, it was like child's play. I didn't see any big measurements. The first one actually was better built. It actually had a flat top that is part of it rather than just, you know, a little point. But anyway, there's, I just agree, I guess, with most people here that I just hate to spend money on a berm, especially if it's not engineered correctly. And I wondered, how much did the berm cost?
The previous
The last
berm?
one, yes.
I believe it was around $4 million. I want to
Okay.
say. I believe it was around. I think the first one was around $1 million, a little bit more, and the second was $4 million. And what hadn't been said tonight is that even though FEMA declined to replacement berm this time, it was drawn up. They actually had their people draw up a template to the tune of $8-point-something million, okay, for this proposed replacement berm. Now that would be a lot more involved than what we're talking about here, but just for what it's worth, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
they throw a lot of money here.
And also, you know, if you look at old maps of Dauphin Island back in 1900, I can't remember exactly, but Sand Island used to be connected, and then it wasn't connected, and now it's back again. And I truly believe that because of the longshore currents that go westward, that all of Sand Island, that's going to help the West End. It is my very uneducated, you know, I don't know, I'm not a teacher or anything, but it just makes sense that those sands that have been built up for Sand Island coming this way, that it would just continue on down. But I appreciate all that y'all do.
All right, thank you, ma'am. And I do agree that, like I said a minute ago, the attachment of the island is probably one of the best things that's happened to that part of the island, and hopefully westward. The main, I guess, the big concern is can we get it to hurry up? You know, time is an issue certainly, but I do agree that's a good thing. Okay, Ms. Russell, and I think Mr. McFarland, and then Mr. Graves, and if you will, after Mr. Graves, I'm letting him be the last one out there, but I'm gonna give the council one last opportunity too. Ms. Russell.
Okay. My name is Joy Russell, and we own property on the west end. One lot underwater, one on the corner of Tyos and Bienville on the south side. And we donated for the last berm, money for the last berm based on the initial drawing, and then FEMA did a bait and switch, and we didn't get what we thought we donated for. So my first point, I don't trust FEMA. Second, I'd like to tell the council that we are not particularly in favor of this berm or levee because as Southside property owners, we feel that, as the old quote goes, we're definitely damned if we do get it. And we may not be damned if we don't get it, but we don't know. So anyway, my question though for you, Jeff, is I feel as though it's gonna put us in a bathtub, we're gonna get washed away. If we don't, if we're lucky and we don't, and we lose water, sewer, so forth. At the beginning of tonight, you said as far as those challenges goes, that those are things that we can handle. But if we lose power and plumbing due to a storm, and FEMA is not gonna help us with that, how are we gonna handle that? Our houses, because we won't be allowed to live in a house with no plumbing or electricity, is it just gonna sit there and gradually deteriorate until it's gone?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I said we can handle, there are a lot of things. When I say we can handle, we can deal with certain issues. Certainly there's some that we can't. I mean, if a storm came through and, you know, just took the whole land away or made a breach like it has further down, I mean, it could be a very difficult situation at best. So we can't handle every single thing. I guess what I was trying to relate to is that once it gets into a legal matter, then that makes it more different. I mean, that's a separate issue, and that takes it out of our hands, if you will. That was my, maybe I didn't make a good point there.
Yeah, well, what would happen in that scenario? What do you think would happen?
If what, ma'am?
If we had a storm, not necessarily a hurricane,
Okay.
but we had a storm, and we're on the other side of this seawall or dam
Right.
issue.
Okay.
And our electricity, plumbing, and so forth is messed up.
Yep.
Then what's going to happen? Are we going to have any help from anybody at all?
Or
will the house just be declared uninhabitable and that's it?
I actually can't answer that, but I think it goes back to what I've already said, that the utilities, the infrastructure south of the berm, it would be up to the host entity, whether it's Alabama Power Company, water and sewer, town streets. Those entities would have to deal with restoring those utilities and those. So I can't speak for them.
Okay.
And I can't really go beyond that because I don't know the answer to that question. You know, and a lot of it depends on a lot of things. And
Okay.
there are some questions tonight that are unanswerable at this point, and I think that's one of them.
And about the gravel road, how are you going to keep traffic, you know, people who want to go to the beach on the south side, come over from Mobile and so forth, from using that road, blocking it, and when they are.
Yeah, I understand. It's.
And I want to sit down, that's all I had to say.
That's fine. You
I
do
hope
it.
y'all vote against it.
All right.
I mean, I do. Like I said, you know, I think the south side owners are damned if you do vote for it and pass it. I do. I feel like we'll be thrown under the bus, as the old saying goes, but there's a possibility, as I said, that we may not be damned if we don't have it. Just a possibility. It's bad enough already, but I'm again it.
Loud and clear. Thank you. Jeff McFarland.
Thank you, Mayor.
Where'd you sneak in? Come on up here to the mic if you don't mind.
I bet I can speak from back here and everybody can hear me.
All right. Good.
It's Jeff, please, if you keep doing the microphone, I appreciate it.
Oh, you got the.
Otherwise, I'll never have it for later. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
My name's Jeff McFarland. We've got property on President Jefferson. And I know this is unofficial, but could we just see a show of hands in the room for those that are opposed to the berm?
Okay.
Mayor, you and the council represent the people, as we understand it. Once again, very unofficial. You all have had a lot more time to consider this plan than we have. Could we see a show of hands for those of you that are for it or against it?
Well,
Those that are for it? Those that oppose it?
I'm neutral. I came to learn.
Abstain?
No, not abstain. I came to listen and learn, and that's what we spent our time off last week with the EMA groups, is to learn. My mind's not made up either way, and I can't speak for the whole council, but we're here to listen to what y'all want. We want to explain to you what your liabilities are, either way. You
And we're the
understand?
same way.
And that's really what we're doing, so I hate to put me on
That's
the
okay,
spot, or you.
abstain, that's okay, that's a
No, I'm not
vote.
abstaining, I'm just telling you, I'm still not decided.
Okay,
But I'm
undecided.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Those that
well,
oppose it,
let me say, Jeff, that, like again,
it's unofficial, but just so that we.
yeah, we're not here to vote tonight, that's correct. What I will say is that I'm here to listen, as Steve said too, and I've heard a lot of things that, yeah, I've heard before, I've already kind of felt on my own. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the problems that something like this would bring to the table. What I think we have tried to do as a council is taking the assumption that if it were going to happen, what would we have to do as a town or a community to compensate for that? And that's where we've kind of come in. And maybe, people would say, well, you shouldn't even give it a second thought. You should have just had another beer and went to bed or something, But we have an ultimate responsibility as elected officials, I feel, even though it may to some seem ridiculous. I think we have to maybe go there, listen to it, and let it shake out what is and what isn't best. But all I can say is that I certainly see the problems that it brings, or the challenges that it brings. There's no question about that. I just think that we also have to look at the other side of the coin of where is it going to put the community on the other side too. And when we get to the point, Jeff, where we have to vote, certainly I will do that.
And we understand, because we are the people and you are the representatives, and we understand what a decision this is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we just want to make sure that those of us that are on the west end are clearly represented. Mm-hmm. And that those of you that are there that represent us this time may not represent us next time.
Yeah. Well, and let me say let me say this, that, if it wasn't that we cared about or even had any consideration with folks who have property in that area, we would not be here tonight. We could just, like I said, at any particular meeting, we can make a motion and vote and do something like this. But I think one of the things that we stepped up and said, look, I know I said it, I'm not going to go down this road without the people that are going to be directly impacted being certainly made aware of it, have an opportunity to say to us what you think about it, and all that information is being listened to and filtered by me, and it will eventually go into my ultimate decision. But I won't say tonight that I'm gonna vote yes or no. I'm not there yet.
And this is government at its best, when the people come together with the elected officials and voice their opinion.
Yep. And I'm glad to have given you all that opportunity. Mary, what are you gonna say?
I'd just like to say that, is this on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here, Mary, go ahead.
That it's been very good to listen to all of you. But I'd just like to tell you that we requested that FEMA would come to this public meeting, and they refused to come, which to me sounds a little shaky. So you know, this decision is very difficult, and it sounds like FEMA is crossing off the south side, and frankly, they'd rather cross off the whole west end, if you really got down to it. That would just go away. So that's how I feel about it. But thank you all for your input, because it's important.
Answer, if you want to answer his question about what do you feel, if you want to think it's a good or bad thing.
I've had a lot of information tonight and in previous research, and at this point, along with Mary, I'm gonna say, FEMA can just take this job and not have it.
All right, I'm fixing to spill my guts here. I've been a permanent resident on the West End for 6 years. I live at 2226 Bienville. I've lived through Ivan. I lost my house during Katrina. Out of the 6 years that I've lived there, I've been evacuated a year and a half. We had to leave 6 months for Ivan. I was gone a year for Katrina. And in answer to, is there any assistance for that? No. There's no assistance for that. You're on your own. I have a dog that I used to, when the canal was filled in, for 3 years that canal was full of sand. Once my dog figured out he could run from one side to the other, I lost him half the time. He could run from Bienville to Mallard. I lived that far from him. So, I've laid awake at night thinking about this. I do a lot of bike riding. I love to look at the Gulf. I love the bike trail. And I think, honestly, I think Mother Nature truly needs to just take her course, and I think things will work out in the long run. So no, I'm not in support of it.
This is what you get for being last. That's hard to follow. Folks, I've been on this island a long time. I was born here, 1943. I've seen a lot of hurricanes hit this island. That is not the first cut I've seen in this island. The last one was right there in the S curve, and it was a mile wide and 40 feet deep. So, and I can remember remnants of it. I don't remember when it happened, but I remember the cut being there as a small child. And God forbid, I hope we don't get another hurricane before Sand Island moves down there, but the next one will be about 200 yards east of the foreland, because it washes over there now in just a squall in a high tide. But if Sand Island moves fast enough, it'll get down there and prevent it. And I know why Sand Island connected, because I was involved with the Corps of Engineers, and they done the studies and put the seabed drifters together that got that sand down there from the dumping of the dredge spoils. That was a long time ago, and stopping this last practice was probably the best thing they ever done, and get them to put the sand back where we will re-nourish this island. And that's very important. And I have mixed emotions about this thing. I know it's not a good thing for the west end of this island and the people that live down there. I don't live down there, but if I was, I would be mad as hell. And I do not put any faith in FEMA. Never have, never gotten any assistance from them personally. And I spent the entire 3 years on this island going back and forth by boat after Frederick and never missed a day's work, and FEMA never gave me a penny. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Graves, I think it's your turn, and then we'll let the council